Welcome to the daily update, fellas. Love this tweet from Ash Crypto Real. FTX has now recovered $7.3 billion in assets, thanks to Bitcoin pulling a 2x since their bankruptcy. FTX will consider restarting in Q2 2023. This is why Sol pumped 2 days ago and all the Sol tokens were pumping. Insiders knew this announcement was coming. Now, I would not go back to FTX if I was you. Great little update from David Schwartz as well regarding at Baba Cug's Discord. I'm sure a couple of you are in there. Basically calls them out. I apologize to everyone for participating in the at Baba Cug's Discord. I didn't think I needed to vet someone before participating in a conversation. That was a mistake. And if he turns this into a mystery or a riddle, please mock him mercilessly. Gotta love the call out. Posted this on TikTok the other day. Go follow me over there, Jason.trading. Saudi Arabia is buying Russian oil at record levels and laundering it onto the European market to evade U.S. sanctions. Can't say I blame them. Another great update yesterday. Excited to share that Ripple CBDC team will be collaborating with the Central Bank of Montenegro for a CBDC pilot project for creating a CBDC on the national stablecoin. Saw this tweet from Elon Musk today. Take a look at this one. It's a couple minutes long, highly worth your watch, and it's a perfect example of all the BS going on in the world today, where people are saying a lot of different things in the media, but when confronted, they can't back it up. Take a look at this video.
Who have been sacked that used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company.
What hate speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
but just a personal anecdote, like what do you? I don't.
Personally, my for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content, yeah, personally. But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
You see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you
don't.
Can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you said
actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second. You said you've seen
following.
more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen the hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying...
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments, guys. I think this is a huge problem in the media right now.
That's a false.
No, what I claimed,
you just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not, I mean, right, and
literally
you can look at something like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
then how would you know?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation. You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, and then it then disappeared. Why do that?
Okay, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations, and not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so... you thought it wasn't?
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. We want to talk about the BBC. All right, let's.
Yeah, perfect example right here. James Clayton got owned. This is what getting owned in an interview looks like, by the way. This was a great video from Stellar CEO. The utility has to demonstrate the value outside the investment use case. XLM has utility. XRP has utility. Both named global stablecoins by World Bank. Why? Because it has real world utility. Watch this video.
The fact is the utility actually has to demonstrate value outside of the investment use case. The fact is the utility actually has to demonstrate value outside of the investment use case.
This was another good find by the digital asset investors. Settlement appeals, Supreme Court, Ripple test. Good interview with John Deaton and at Real Vision. Check this one out.
Well, according to Ripple, the only way they settle is that, and I don't think it's a matter of how much they pay. The only thing they said that the SEC would have to agree that XRP, ongoing and future sales of XRP, including in the secondary market when I trade it or anyone else does from Coinbase or any other exchange, that those are not securities. And unless there's that agreement or that stipulation made, Ripple will not settle. So I don't see the SEC agreeing to that. That's why I don't see a settlement. I see a settlement after a judgment. So if the judge comes down and she says this or that, or she says there needs to be a jury and this is going to hang on for a couple more years, then maybe the two can get together to come out with some compromise. But at the end of the day, a settlement is just between two parties and doesn't have any precedential effect on other tokens. If Ripple's already indicated if they lose, they're appealing to the Second Circuit. And then, of course, it could go to the Supreme Court. And that's when you would get what's called the Ripple test that arguably could replace the Howey test. Or it wouldn't replace it. It would just be the Ripple test applied to digital assets, so to speak.
Video about John Deaton and the multiple options that could end this case. I sure as hell hope it doesn't take that long, but you never know. There's an interesting update from Warren Buffett calling Bitcoin a gambling token. Take a look at this one.
Major at the sports book in Nevada, and I was out there with a couple of friends, and I went up and bet on Nebraska against it. And about 10 people got up behind me and said, "I'll have what he's having." You know, it's kind of like Meg Ryan in the movie. And so they had a very unbalanced book when they got through that day, and I got 500. My 550, and I made a profit of 500. And I had somebody else cash the tickets. So it's so human, and once unleashed, you can't put it back in the bottle. And something like Bitcoin, it is something. It's a gambling token. Major,
It's amazing to me how many of these old guys still don't get cryptocurrency. Now, Warren Buffett has a reputation as one of the greatest investors of all time. So don't be fooled when he's on TV talking about how Bitcoin's a gambling token and is anti-crypto. I bet he owns some. Now, this is something everyone is seeing countrywide. Credit card debt surges as inflation pushes Americans to borrow more. The dollar is worth less. You have less spending power now. More people are using their credit cards and accruing debt. Great post by Black Swan Capitalist. Credit card debt, household debt, and personal debt continue to explode while savings are in the negative. Middle class is being wiped out clean while we're betting against the system by owning hard assets like gold and silver. Now, buying metals like gold and silver has been a safe bet for hundreds of years. Also, a great update here from Digital Assets Daily. As the SEC continues to delay U.S.-based solutions, the rest of the nations move on and adapt to the change. BRICS is growing every day. And as you can see here, this one is the president of Brazil arriving in China. Major moves being made worldwide, and the U.S. is being purposely held back. This post from Wall Street Bulls, XRP fun facts. Majority of XRP trading volume comes from outside the U.S. Major exchanges worldwide, not U.S., contribute to the trading volume. SEC case against Ripple ongoing, impact will be none. XRP adopted by banks and fintech outside the U.S. Now, a lot of us have been talking about this for a long time, many years, that the U.S. will not decide the fate of crypto or Ripple or XRP, and if needed, they will move offshore. That's it for today, fellas. Like, subscribe, and follow. I would appreciate it.